Yeah,
I guess we better just wait.
Okay.
Not yet, not yet.
So I suppose your drive over from Great Falls was good today?
You are live, Madam Chairman.
Went down, worked out at Allen today.
Good. All right, call to order. I guess I got to call the meeting to order first. This is the Parks and Recreation Board of Broadwater County for May 19th, 2025, 6 p.m. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. All right, do we have any public comment on items not included on this agenda?
I'm going to make a quick public comment, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I got asked to talk to the Big Sky Big Leadership Group last Friday. No, excuse me, not this past Friday, but the one before. And they were wondering all about Parks and Rec and what we have going on. So I went in there and talked to them all about our projects.
Okay.
And what's going on, and if they have any ideas.
Is this the leadership group that's been in place for the 6 months or a year?
Yes.
Okay.
And that was
It's not a new
their
one.
final class. Yeah, but it's, anytime I feel like we can talk to people about what we have going on. It
Oh,
just
absolutely.
Gets word of mouth out. So. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Lindsay.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Any other public comments? All right. So, welcome. And the introduction of the new board members. Carol is not here today. She's traveling, but we have Wendy Gravely. Wendy Gravely. Got that one right. Welcome to the board. Okay, and happy retirement. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve minutes from the April 30th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion made and accepted. 2 of 3, quorum. Motion passed. Okay, Great Western presentation. The floor is all yours.
I'm going to stand at the lectern.
Yes, please, introduce yourself. And
It's all right. That actually makes it easier for me to write notes down. So, okay. So thank you for letting me come down in person. This is going to be a lot easier than Kevin Anglin, Great West Engineering.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
Welcome.
this is going to be a lot easier than last time trying to be online to go over the document. So, at this time, I guess to ask the board, did everybody have a chance to take a look at the document? Okay. Perfect. So, I guess I wanted to start just because last time was was kind of difficult calling in. I want to start at the very first page, like the acknowledgments. I want to make sure that I got it right from the last meeting, but it's the Canyon Ferry Trust Board is who funded the project. Is that correct?
Broadwater.
Broadwater.
Isn't it Broadwater Trust Board. It used to be Canyon Ferry Trust Board, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Broadwater Trust Board. Broadwater County Trust Board. Yeah.
So where it's highlighted on the bottom here,
Yep.
it's Broadwater Trust Board.
It's Broadwater County Trust Board. I'll look it up, just to be sure we got it.
It used to be Canyon Ferry Trust.
So it's Broadwater County Trust Board. Yeah, I think that's where.
So just for the sake of time as well, if you've seen any grammatical errors or any spelling errors, if you want to just mark them down on your own or on your own copy and then send it to me later, we'll just focus on the actual meat of the document. So we got that. Skipping ahead to page 1, the executive summary. We'll just go through things pretty briefly, but I recall from the last meeting that we wanted to cut out the tables that we had put in there, just because we wanted to keep it way more high level and not start getting into the weeds. So got that cut out on mine. I'll have to redo a little bit. That last paragraph of the executive summary was kind of our summarizing the tables. So I'll get that all changed. Let's see, demographic wise, we've recently been having a lot of issues with census data. A lot of census data that we're finding is incorrect or is being hidden, and we think there's just a lack of transparency, public data. So I can try to update this because now it's been a little bit longer, and I know Headwaters Economics is trying to go out to 2023, so 1 year later, but we're trying to encourage at this point to not focus as much on demographic data. It's already out of date from what we had in here anyway. So in my eyes, going from 22 to 23 is not going to make a big planning change in regards to this document. So does anybody have any questions on that or anything?
So you want to keep the population and the demographics that's in place now?
I would think so. Yeah, I just don't think we'll see a big change in 1 year, and we're starting to see with Headwaters that the reliability is getting lower. So, yeah, it might come up once we get to the public hearing. Once it's out there, we might get comments on it, but I feel like that can be addressed pretty easily.
Okay.
We did add, and this is kind of in the same boat, but we added kind of a planning area map that we used. We used our ArcGIS software that pulled census data at the time when we created it to kind of break down the demographics a little bit further in the planning area. And I believe we ran, I want to say it was about a mile buffer around, this is on page 4, around the properties around Townsend. So we kind of figured that would probably end up being the focus area mainly for user groups of these two properties. Not saying that the rest of the county won't show up, it's just on a day-to-day basis, it's probably going to be the people around here, I would guess. Minus like regional events, like if the planning stage does get to like a big multi-use sports facility. And then skipping ahead, we kind of continue with a lot more census data. So we got our age breakouts, which though, like I said, it does low reliability. It is pretty critical to understand the age group in the planning area, so you kind of have a better understanding of what your user groups are going to be. Income, that's more or less just kind of additional information. Typically, what you'll see is like a lot of lower income areas are usually underserved for parks, and so we just kind of threw that in there as an extra analysis for you guys to look at. And same with poverty levels within the area. And if any of this at any time you don't want in the plan, like this is your plan, we can cut out whatever you want. It's our recommendation to leave all this stuff in. Health rankings. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's good to have it in there. I mean, when we do projects, we put this same data in there for everybody to know who you're affecting, what it could affect, who's benefiting. I think the federal government now, I was sitting there trying to think of it, the federal government on their website, you can put in locations and do all this at one time. It even gives you pollution data, all this stuff. So when you go to build this, what kind of impacts you're going to have. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, not to mention a lot of that analysis will come into play in the future for funding and grant opportunities. So
right.
Though that could be, years from now, and so the data could all be changed, but still, it's a good basis to go off of.
And this data on this is all for the whole county or just this population area?
That's for the whole county. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we could probably break that down a little bit further. It just might take a little bit longer, so that would be kind of up to you guys if you want to see it on a more
I mean, I knew we were
localized level.
aging. I just thought there was a lot more younger families, and so many have moved in, the younger people, but, that's anecdotal too. I have got no statistics to back that up.
And this is from 22, so it's already, yeah.
That's all right.
That was actually called, not to veer off here, but that was actually called, it was on the EPA's website, and it was the environmental justice screen, and it's gone. It says it does not exist anymore.
What
The website, it was a interactive mapping tool for environmental justice, so you could zero in, just like he did with his boundary, you could zero in on a project, and it spew out all this data, everything from pollution to income, and it was all by the EPA, and now it says it's gone.
Yeah. So it's making gathering of data a lot more difficult than it used to be, so.
So I see you use 2022 in some of the demographics, but then in the income, you use 2023.
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
update from Headwaters.
Okay.
So they didn't have a good one for 23. I probably could look and get it updated now. That was at the time that we put this together. So
Yeah.
I would have pulled this end of last year. So I could get those updated and get them to match. I don't think.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I find it interesting that 2010, it was 44 for the county, and then it increased to 63 for the county, but on the next page for Townsend, it was 36 and it increased to 71,000.
For the income
That's a
level?
that's a pretty big jump just in the Townsend versus overall county. That's a pretty big jump.
And that's pretty high for this county as well.
Yeah, and so that going back and
Poverty
looking at like the
prevalence for the
reliability
city of
too, and seeing
Townsend.
how good it is would be could be worth mentioning just to throw in there what Headwaters reliability is.
So they consider people below poverty would be an individual versus the, quote, families below the poverty?
They have, two different metrics.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wonder how they could figure that out. Okay.
Yeah, they just look at the household income levels, and I think when they're doing the census and finding out how many people live in that household is where they decide family versus an individual.
Okay.
So kind of interesting, but it would be really interesting to dive it in further to find out exactly what that level is in the planning area around these parks. But
Yeah.
we might not even see anything out of that. Like, it's just hard to say. It could, and at this point in the draft stage, it would cost a lot more money to keep diving in. So.
I'm with you, Jen. I'm curious. That's really interesting to see that in the town.
The city versus
Within
the
city
county
versus
itself.
the county
Yeah.
demographics, because yes, it's just interesting. You would think
Because
it'd
usually,
be opposite.
right. Usually they
100%.
move out and buy land and have bigger mansions out on River Road and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
So then, we also added some health rankings from Robert Wood's Foundation, or Robert Wood Johnson Foundations. And what you'll see, basically looking at that, is the overall health scores for Broadwater County are pretty good. They're definitely on like the higher end of like the healthiest and past the national average. So that's good. And I'd say that probably would also drive your user groups, because then if people are healthier, they're going to tend to use the parks a little bit more, which will be good.
Right. Well, and we know it's not exactly zero for all of those for the under 18 kids if you've ever worked as a para.
Yeah,
In our schools,
that was
but-
tough data to pull.
It is tough data because it has to be reported anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think especially for under 18, it's like if the parents aren't reporting it, then
Yeah.
we're not getting it. So
In your schools.
I don't know. What do you want me to leave that on there? Or do you want me to just take it out because it's all zeros?
No, I think it's, well,
because that's easy. That's just deleting a line.
I would just put not available,
Okay.
just because they're minors and they aren't going to report it.
Could you use the school's head count as part of that, or would that not accurate enough?
I mean, if the school's willing to work with us, we probably could get that added in. I don't know how much work that would take
For
to
like
get that put in
para?
there.
For the para head count or the school?
No, for the under 18 years old.
Yeah, but you have to have these different difficulties. They'd have to be willing to report those
Yeah,
difficulties.
That's tough.
And that's why I think we ought to
That's
just put not available.
I think you should just take that line out.
yeah.
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 You know, because ultimately, that isn't going to make or break anything in this document.
No,
And I
it's
think-
more or less just good information to have, because then when
Yeah.
things do start getting developed, and then we start looking at ADA playground stuff like that. So-
Right.
Right, All Abilities
Right.
Playground,
Yeah.
which we're making the two. We did Heritage already, and we're doing the next one in McCarthy Park, and they're going to be full All Abilities playgrounds.
Yeah.
So, and I
So-
don't know if they finished that one at the school, or if they made that All Abilities when they put it in. Because that was Stacy's
It is
project
all
there, too.
abilities.
Yeah.
Some of the pieces, I don't know if they stayed up. There still might be a few.
Yeah, okay.
So I suppose since we don't have the data, once we get into the planning stage, just assume everything obviously needs to be
Well,
ADA
just
anyway.
leave
so.
it as not available, or, yeah.
Yep. So then we just got a couple graphics kind of showing the health ranking. So then moving on, this is when we finally start really getting into the documents. So we enter the facilities analysis. So if everybody had a chance to read that, and let me know if I'm missing anything. I think I got it summarized pretty well. The one that I was kind of not sure was some of the Rod and Gun Club stuff. Pulled most of it from their website, so I think it's pretty spot on. But what I guess I don't know is, has anything changed from there? So taking a look at that and the down would be great. Utility wise, pulled a lot of data. Went to like the Bureau. Let's see, what is it? The Bureau of Mines and Groundwater, quick or whatever you want to call it. To look at the well logs, got that put in there. Talked a little bit about when the well was drilled to get a good understanding of the existing utilities on the property. I believe I got everything on that too. Yeah, got information on the septic system for the Rod and Gun Club, so we know that there's an existing system there. One thing that I think I was missing that I wasn't sure about is there is a bathroom at the ball field at Camp Lane. Is that right?
It's been condemned, and they haven't used it. I mean, it's that wooden building one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
So it's not. Is it hooked up to the septic system?
oh,
for
no,
Rod
it's
and
a
Gun Club?
pit, it's a vault toilet.
It's a vault toilet. Okay.
It's a vault toilet.
So I should probably.
I didn't even know that, does Rod and Gun Club actually have a septic system piped to the town? Or do they have their own?
So not on.
vault?
It should be on their own system, not
Yeah,
on
they're
the
not gonna
city
be
sewer
on-
water.
They're not going to be on city out there.
No, because they're too far out. I'm wondering
they
what
probably
kind
have
of a
their own
septic
septic.
system they have.
I'd have to
And
go
if
back
they're
and look
using
because I
flush
think
toilets and stuff, it would be, if
I
it's on a
think they have
vault
flush.
system, that'd be interesting.
I'd have to go back and look because I think Nicole sent me the septic permit, so I could always take a look at that and add a little bit more information in. Because that does come into play, especially if they do leave and we have an empty building there that has a septic system. So we kind of need to know the extent of the system because there's another additional cost once we get into that for.
Well,
does it
if
need
they
to be
do
upgraded?
leave and leave us a building that has toilets, that would be beneficial for us, but I don't know that they're gonna be leaving.
Yeah, it's
Even
just
their indoor range,
something to keep
We'll
in mind.
it is.
Yeah. So I'll get that added about the vault toilet too being condemned at the ball field. I think that's pertinent information to have in there.
Yeah.
So topography, we sent our GIS guy out with a drone, and he was able to shoot both the properties and actually create a good 1 foot contour topo map. So
Wow.
a little bit of information in there just to kind of, we know that for the most part they're flat, but this kind of shows it's not perfectly flat like most people think. There are going to be some topographic constraints. It is a little bit hard to see, and I was kind of contemplating seeing if we could blow it up and do maybe like a 11 by 17 map, like a Z fold when the full plan gets done, so you can actually
Unfold it. and see it.
actually see the whole thing.
Okay. I think it would be beneficial because I think the larger map would give people an idea of
Then you
what.
can actually see the contours. Yeah, they are, because right now, just as it prints, it's pretty hard to see the contour interval. So, and I'm assuming that some people don't know how to read topo maps. So, yeah. We got information about the public access that's there, which is pretty simple to get since there's only one access point. We did also go in and talk a little bit about pedestrian access, and you'll see we also had our GIS team create some bike and walking maps, and so they were able to pull data from there to show the actual walk and bike time to the property from certain locations. So obviously we couldn't do the whole county because that
All right.
It's kind of
Kevin,
cool.
can I just go back real
Oh,
quick
yep.
to the topography?
Yeah.
Can you go ahead and put in there that the golf course has the driving range in that that southeast corner? I didn't see that in your verbiage here. That is an existing driving range in that southeast corner. I'm correct, that dirt, right, that is the driving
Well,
range that
that's
they
what I was
have?
sitting there,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't
Yes, it
sure.
is.
I assume it's that triangle.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And I think I've gone back and forth. It is actively used though, right?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
perfect.
In fact,
Says a
they were
golfer.
just-
Yeah,
I just came
perfect.
from there and they were just
Whacking 'em
talking
around,
about
are you?
She
That's
wants,
good info.
she's going to mention that as many times as possible.
I know she
Good
is.
intel.
And every little
Golfing.
knife just keeps irritating.
Yeah. Did I tell you I was golfing?
All right.
Do we have, what's the president of the Rock and Gun Club, Brad?
Yeah.
Brad, do we have his email?
I think so.
I wonder if we could
Yes.
just cut this and paste it in an email and ask him to confirm everything that this says.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Because like I said, I just pulled it from his website, so I don't know if it was from
Yes, and it may
10
be
years ago
outdated,
or
yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Anything else, I guess, before we move on?
Sorry, Phyllis. I know.
Perfect. Okay, so we added bike and walk time maps, and so you can take a look at those. Kind of just showing what kind of pedestrian access we could get to both of these properties, especially in terms of bike time. Knowing that we had discussed possibility of trails, the county's doing a trails plan, kind of connecting everything together eventually. So I think it's pretty good information to have in there. And if you take a look, if you can see can anybody see the legend on there? Or do we need to blow it up a little bit more
I can see it.
on the next? Okay, because we can make all the maps.
Can you see it okay?
Sure,
11 by
my arms
17.
get longer, I can see it.
I got my eyes on.
I'm thinking maybe put it up on the lake, put it up on the top.
And we
I mean,
can,
everybody knows that lake's there, and that's nowhere near the property we're talking about anyway. You're talking about the travel time by bike?
yeah, just all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
all the maps that we have in here, we could do 11 by
So
17.
just put
so
the
big.
legend up on the
So
top.
when you're talking travel time by bike, are you talking about using just the main roadways that cars travel?
That would be that's our
Okay.
analysis right now.
Okay.
Yep. So you can see, like, from where we're at, it would be about a 5 to 10 minute bike ride.
Yeah, either that or just, make it another half-inch larger.
Yep. And I guess one thing to also to consider is we're not taking safety into consideration on these ones. Like, we're
No.
clearly,
No, we're not going there.
yeah, this is clearly just time.
Yes.
Like, so.
Yes.
Yep. And then we got, for walking, we went a little bit smaller, as you can see on page 14, just because we knew what, like, walking times from the center of town are going to be further than 15 minutes. So, yeah. And so this is kind of skipping ahead, but we did the same thing for the Centerville property. They're about the same. We'll get to those in a sec. So moving on to the Centerville property, we laid out the existing conditions pretty well. I mean, it's an undeveloped lot. Tried to take into consideration, make sure we get in there everything about the little irrigation ditches and fencing, because I know that we had talked about in the future, like a
corral
new
is
fence
still
might
there.
be needed.
The corral is still there, and the cistern, there is a cistern or a septic still out there. It was a hole. There's still,
Is there?
pit privies.
Hmm?
There's some pit privies out there
On the
Head-
Centerville property?
on the center.
Oh, I don't know.
yeah. They're under,
Not-
they're in that west corner,
The west corner.
on the west side. By just past the corral that's there, well, you have the foundation for the historic water cistern. It's the cistern, or the previous are
Oh,
still out
okay.
there. They're underground,
Yep.
just have to be careful when you're walking around out
And they're
there.
right there, okay. Didn't have that in there, but that's good to have.
Yeah. So you just put a few abandoned underground tanks, whether they were septic or privy tanks or cisterns.
Okay. Got that. Does anybody else see anything on the existing conditions that we might have missed?
And just the corral.
There's not a whole lot.
But yeah, there's the wood corral that's still out there.
And is that a floodplain area too?
Yeah, it is. We do, if you,
That's coming up and down
yeah.
the road.
I
Okay,
don't remember which map
Yeah.
it's on.
It's
But
down at the west end
okay.
as well, floodplain, I think.
But I think we're safe because those corrals have been there for quite a while and they're still
yeah, so
great.
we got a little bit about the native grasses, non-native grasses, all that stuff, and then the FEMA floodplain, because that definitely needs to be in there because that will impact development and like permitting and all that. Utilities. This, or correct me if I'm wrong, but no utilities. There's electrical hookups kind
One
of on.
pole on the
Yep.
street,
I think it got.
northeast corner. One pole on the northeast corner. Yep, you've got that.
Yep.
At Centerville and Mill Road intersection.
Perfect. Topography, same thing, kind of relatively flat. We once again got a kind of a small map that we could blow up and make it a little bit better. Public access. We just have that little area at the corner of Centerville and Mill Road that's like, I mean, it's not even really on the property is what I had, but I mean, in theory, the whole property can be accessed publicly by just walking on, right? But
Okay, second sentence, Centerville Road is a crushed grave road surface.
gravel.
Add your L.
Yep. So then talk a little bit about the issues that could cause for different types of bikes. Kind of getting into the pedestrian, and that's when we kind of move into our little crash analysis. This is where we did get a little bit more into the safety. Mainly, as you can see, it's mainly for Centerville because there was no data really for the Kent Lane property, and all this data that we got was from MDT. So you might say, like, we know that there were some wrecks on city streets or anything. Well, we don't have that data. So the biggest thing is that we wanted to put that in there because when we went on the site visit in November, I think, something like that, Jen and I were walking, we were talking about a possibility for a bike path along the road that comes into the property. But with that being a curve, and there are quite a few wrecks there, we
Right.
definitely need some planning and some good engineering to make that safe. So
It's a dangerous road.
yeah,
I
Right.
hold my breath when Will rides out there. He'll take the dog, and I just am like, you hug that shoulder and you wear your helmet, and it
It's
freaks
very
me out
dangerous.
because yeah, people.
So your fourth line down, you have, has a very narrow shoulder width poses hazards. It should be which poses hazards. Fourth line down, third word in.
which poses hazard. Yep.
Is Mill Road asphalt out there? I thought that was also dirt.
What
Mill-
is considered
it's asphalt until you get to that intersection, and then it turns to dirt. I think too.
Isn't it Millings?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
when-
thought it's kind of a
Are
gravel,
you talking about that
gravelish.
area from the corner of Centerville over to Delger? Or
No,
over
this
to
one
Canton?
here. So this is Mill Road, and this is
It's right here.
Centerville.
It might be an asphalt or millings,
This
but
is
it's
on
not.
this
This
trailer
is
park
not
right
dirt.
Yeah,
then it
the
turns
trailer
dirt
park's
here.
all this
Okay.
whole lane
Right.
right here.
That
Yeah.
is,
Right?
it's
That's-
not
Yeah,
dirt.
because
Calling
I-
it
I
It's
wrote
not
that.
dirt,
I
but
know.
it's, okay.
I bike it all the
It's
time.
not standard
Yeah.
pavement, though.
This is like
It's millings.
asphalt or
It could be
millings or
all right.
One of
whatever.
the two,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not dirt, and then it turns to dirt right
Turns to
here at this where you
You're right,
go
and
into the
then
mill road.
it's obviously up to
Probably,
Okay, I'm sure y'all walked it. I just,
Yeah.
I didn't remember it actually being an actual asphalt road, but
Well, they have
Millings
part
is
of it
fine.
dug up at the moment.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So then we got the crash analysis. I'll edit the public access to get some of
On the
that.
curve, which means they're
figured
gonna
out.
take those trees out. take the trees out and straighten the road, which will make people drive faster.
Oh, I'm like, that'll go over really well.
Well, and do you want us to put in like a recommendation to any sort of like traffic control measures, like
No,
speed bump or anything? Like, I don't know. That would require us talking to the road department.
well, it's not really our place in a master plan to go outside the scope of the plan, which is the park development.
Yeah.
I mean,
It can be just like not a recommendation, but just
Observation.
an observation.
Yeah.
But that's up to you guys. I mean, it's your plan. So
I
whatever
mean, you
want.
have it in there that it's
That's unsafe.
unsafe.
Yeah.
I mean, 25 crashes since 2019.
Yeah, I think like
Oh,
8
eight
right,
crashes.
eight,
Oh,
that's a lot,
right.
John.
Yeah, 8 right at that corner.
8 crash locations and a very beat-up, poor little tree. All
Yeah.
right.
Yep, and then we moved back in, and this is what I was talking about, transitioning back to the walking and biking time to the property. So pretty similar to the other one. I mean, they're not that far away, so the times aren't going to change drastically.
Okay.
Okay. Outreach and engagement. So this one, I honestly, I need to go back through and just make sure that it's all set from all the outreach that we've done since we did some outreach, came back, did some more outreach. So I just
Right.
got to make sure that the timeline fits. So
Close. Okay.
yeah. And probably, I mean, we have it further in about how we rerun the survey, but just making sure everything's like got continuity.
Okay.
I'll have to just go through and make sure
Well, and
that fits.
The proximity of the Centerville property to the Indian Creek campground is beneficial for recreationists. You know, if we could get the park developed in the vicinity of that, but there's no safe way to get from that park to this park.
That's what we discussed at the Big Sky Big Leadership
Yeah.
class, was just the importance really of connectivity being almost like your first step to everything out here. If there
everything
is no
for
way to
safety.
get anywhere
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
safe, like I said, you don't want to just send your kid
Yeah.
down Monkey roads.
So that's kind of getting way ahead, and we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But the trails plan, we'll
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about that in a little
Yep.
while. It's hard not to just jump around as things come
Bubba by
up.
bubba. Yeah.
So we got walking, a little bit about our walking audit that we did. Looks like it was October 4th. And then a little bit about the concept design outreach event. So this is where I just got to make sure that everything, all the dates are still correct and everything. So pretty standard. We got the top 3 priorities on page 21 under the survey. And really, I think from all the outreach events that we had, I don't think the top priorities really changed that much. The design might have changed, but the priorities were still there. So I don't know if you guys agree with that, or
If you could wade through all the different comments, yeah, I mean, I felt like yes, I would say you're accurate. Whether it was an agreement on baseball fields, multi-use fields, whatever people wanted to see.
yeah.
Fields, right, recreational fields.
Well, I don't know if this is a little misleading. The Broadwater County completed the county recreation plan, which highlighted these 2 properties as having the most optimal potential for development. I mean, we set this plan out there specifically only for those 2 properties. We never looked at any other county properties for development. We
We have
did,
a lot of other county properties. to
Right.
look at, so.
okay. All right.
Do you want me to
It's just kind of
reword
a
it? I can reword that. That's easy. That is
county recreation plan. See, that's this one right here. And this county recreation plan is this big one here, which is the one you're alluding to, right?
Yep.
Okay. Centerville and Cantling properties having the most optimal. Okay, all right.
I can reword that. That's
No, that's all right. Because I know we talked about this one too, is the fairgrounds and some other stuff, but okay, that's fine.
right. So now moving into the fun stuff was conceptual parks and rec facilities. So I know this came up because I still had that highlighted area here at the bottom when we get